It's not. Yeah. Oh, we're recording.
Oh my God! They know now. Now they know. Too late, people. You're not gonna find it on the menu at the Taco Bell. It's a Love Supreme. What? That's cool. What? Where? Tell me about the origin of that. Is that a newer version or what?
Yes. There's a fine group of folks called Acoustic Sounds. I think they
Yep.
are in
Yep.
like Kansas somewhere. And they did a repressing of this, which there had not been an actual new repressing because everybody thought that the masters were gone, long gone. I believe this is probably completely not correct, but I believe someone somewhere found like a safety master somewhere, probably in someone's trash can in a back alley. Which is an actual story of the masters of most of John Coltrane's music. But they got a safety master, which for those not in the know it's basically a duplicate master that you make in case something goes wrong with the master, and you still have the ability to do things with the recording. So you still have a copy. So it's like the first copy of the copy. And they found it and had it remastered and all that fun stuff and put it on super thick vinyl. I think they've since done even a better, quote unquote, super edition that's on like transparent vinyl or something like that, and like supposed to be like super awesome. But yeah, I got that 2-3 years ago, I think is when they did it. They did like most of the Coltrane discography that they could find, that was out there floating in like some sort of master form. So
my copy is from the 30th anniversary.
Nice.
Which this thing is up to 60th anniversary now.
Is that the CD guy? Is that this guy?
It probably is. It probably is.
Is it
1995. Right? Yep. Digipack, same deal.
Yep.
Who did? Look at that.
Yep. I have a problem because I also have another copy, which is the deluxe.
That is essential though, because that has like some bonus tracks.
Yes. Well, this has it has a couple of different alternate takes of some of the songs, and it also has, at that point, the only live version that they knew existed. There's since been another one. I forgot to bring that one out too. There's since been another one that has surfaced that is them like playing it in a club somewhere in like Seattle or something like that.
Yep. That's a recent one. But yeah, only 2 live performances of the thing ever.
Supposedly. The family and friends and all that say that there were more. I think even the band guys at some point were like, no, we played it more than that. But as far as like especially like a complete version of it, I think those were the only ones.
Right. So if you haven't picked it up, you're wondering, what are you jackholes jammering about? This is John Coltrane's A Love Supreme, which was recorded December 9th. It was recorded in a single day at let me see if I can get this name right. Van Gelder Studios.
Yep, Rudy Van Gelder.
In New Jersey.
Yep.
And done in a single day. John Coltrane and McCoy Tyner on piano, Jimmy Garrison on the bass, and Mr. Elvin Jones on drums.
Yep. The classic quartet, as it were.
The classic quartet. And it is I learned a lot about this thing.
Sure.
Digging into it over the last couple of weeks. And you know, it's always surprising because like, hey, I've been listening to this for 30 years. What can I learn? But things have come to light, dude.
Sure.
So you know, the one thing, like the term through composed, I misinterpreted that as being like recorded in one take.
Right.
But what that term means is it's just a piece of music where it's all connected, but the parts don't repeat.
Right.
So that's what we've got here with A Love Supreme. There's 4 parts, and then each part has its own little theme and sound, but it all flows together in this one one piece of music that on the original release is about 34 minutes.
Yeah, it's quick. It's quick.
Yeah.
If you blink, you'll miss it.
And that goes back to our original thing of like, man, a great album can be pretty quick.
Right.
Right up there with the Ramones' first album, or
Right.
or any of those other 30-minute masterpieces by the Beatles, or who knows. I mean, it's the brevity.
Yeah.
That to me is part of the digestibility.
Right. Yeah. It's I feel like I noticed all over again the pace is like so good, but it's like it is so fast, and it's like that given what we know, especially with the benefit of now, I guess it's hindsight into the foresight into the future. We went back to the future, Marty. That he had the ability to like stretch all of this like an elastic band as far as it could go until it broke sometimes. And
right.
The fact that on these recordings they didn't do that, and he like reins all of that in, but still gives you all those glimpses of like the Coltrane things. All the signatures are there. Like he lets it rip.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a full circle sort of moment for us, in the sense that we kind of talked about that in respect to Band of Gypsies in a lot of ways earlier in one of our episodes. And I even mentioned how like I feel like Coltrane is almost present in the way that like Jimi Hendrix is soloing on that. It's kind of the same thing here. It's like there's a distillation that has happened, and they're both, I think, at arguably their peak. Before we go any further, this is possibly my favorite piece of music that has ever been musicked. If I get really hyperbolic about it, I apologize.
It's a great one. People call it the greatest jazz recording of all time, and I'm not here to dispel that.
Right.
I'm not challenging that because it is. And to me, another thing besides the brevity and that makes it digestible is the perfect balance between the old era of Coltrane, where you can kind of hum all the melodies with your mouth, and then the future of Coltrane, where he goes out, 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 like way out, and finds the edge of sound, the very edge of like what his instrument can produce.
Right.
It's all there. Right. It's all there because through these 4 sections of A Love Supreme, we have some very easy to remember melodies, the bo-dum, 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 the mantra. And then the second one, the resolution, wait, let me get it right. Right.
Yeah.
But then in the third section, that's when he's like, he takes the lid off. He's like, here's what Coltrane's going to do next.
Right.
Because then it goes batshit. Like he takes that simple melody and then like chromaticizes it and modicizes it and melodicizes it and verticizes it and just rips it to pieces.
Right.
But that all goes with like there's a conceptual flow to this thing too.
Right.
So let's talk about the titles real quick.
Yep.
Number 1, Acknowledgement. That's the just acknowledging the bigger creative force, the bigger creative everything.
Yeah.
And then 2, Resolution. This is where there's like, okay, here I'm determined to change something about me.
Right.
So it's this is what Coltrane's saying. Here we go. I acknowledge the big thing, and now I'm resolving to change something in me, right. And that it takes you to the third section, which is Pursuance, and that's the one where it goes wild.
Yes.
Right. That's where everybody gets a hot solo. There's a great drum solo, and Coltrane does his most out solo on the thing. And then going back to a calmer state with Psalm, it winds down for the fourth section. And this one's interesting because the liner notes have like a little prayer.
Yeah.
And Coltrane kind of like does this prayer on the sax.
Yes.
He like kind of like does his imitation of like, the small town preacher.
Yeah.
With the cadence.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of monotone, but it also gets dramatic
Yes.
and dips in certain areas.
Yeah. Have you? This is a perfect spot for this. Have you ever read this?
Ooh, I saw it when I was doing like the Wikipedia section, like the written part of the test.
Right.
I saw that and I'm like, oh, got to get it.
I would say
It looks very
there's
good.
also this one, The House That Train Built.
Oh wow, no,
These are both by Ashley Kahn, who is a crazy like jazz historian. I say crazy in the best sense. Like the guy finds or found all the people that he could to talk to while they were still alive. So there's like interviews with Alice Coltrane and Elvin Jones and McCoy Tyner and Jimmy Garrison. He quotes him from other sources and da. But like they go like track by track. I'll save a little bit of that for later down in this world, but this one I think is more like global, like the world that was Impulse Records and like what it was, and like to Coltrane and like the world that he was operating in. And this one is obviously just about A Love Supreme. And I bring that up right now because they talk a lot about how it was not known for a long time that like Psalm, when his entire saxophone line is syllabically, yeah, sure, that sounds good. Syllabically, he is quoting that written poem that he has done. With he does some changing and stuff, like he'll mix it up in there. But that was something that he had done prior as well on Alabama, which was based on Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech. He like about the 4 girls killed in the Birmingham church bombings, and he basically made it, like quoted it in his lines for that song. And like I remember like hearing Elvin Jones talk about the first time he brought that in and played it, like I cried while I was playing, because it was so just like dramatic. So it's like it's an amazing like thing that on this record, which is considered like the peak, like he's also like harkening back to certain things that he had done. Like he's using all these things, and they go into much further detail than we could ever go in our short time here in that book about that. So if you haven't read it, anybody in the world, you should read it. It's really good.
Right, and like you say, there is a lot to know, and we're always texting each other ideas for like things to talk about on the show, and this one came out way back when. But like my first response was, I don't think I'm smart enough to talk about it. I really don't. But here's the thing, there is like a deep musicality to it. Like I started looking into that. Like I made the mistake of starting my online search with A Love Supreme modes.
Oh, wow.
And I found some dudes that are like trying to like unlock the modes used, like, step by step. And my gosh, it goes deep and it's debatable. Like one paragraph like negates the next paragraph. It's like, well, it could be this, but it's not this because it's that, it's like, okay, help me, get me out. But besides that, there is a relatability. I mean, you can still, like you said, there's an emotion to it.
Yes.
But yeah, all of the musicality is just a gateway to emotion.
Yes.
That's what this this album is really held up for, is just being like not only a comprehensive piece of jazz that just goes from flows like a suite, like a classical suite,
right?
But it maintains this reverent emotion and powerful emotion throughout.
Right. Yeah, I think he was one of the few musicians of that caliber, like somebody who could talk to you all day about modes and intervals and keys and chord changes and how this one connects into this one, but only if you do this, and only if you do this at this point, and if you're going to jump from here to here, you could do that only if you've eaten 4 Smurfs and like cooked a lizard into your tea, that kind of stuff. Like he could talk on that level all day, but when he played, all of that seemed to like not matter. Like you can be a a yokel from Georgia who knows how to play drums really loud and listen to Coltrane and be like floored just as much as like the Juilliard trained,
Right.
French horn player, like, or flautist, could know exactly what he's doing, or like, the ideas, and be like floored by that before they're floored by the emotional power, like to your point about of the music. And I think that's, I don't want to say it's an impossible task, but it is a very heavy thing to be able to accomplish both at the same time, to get all of that musicality and it not come off like a prog rock record or something that's really super inaccessible to a lot of people.
Right.
And
topographical oceans.
Right. Like half of your audience is gone the second you start, and like the difference is this is like, it makes you want to hear the rest of it. Like you hear the beginning, you're like, was that a gong?
Yeah.
Is that a gong? Yeah. Like, what is happening right now? Where is everyone? Why did everyone drop out 30 seconds in and now it's just bass? Like, what is going on? And then you're like, you just keep like, it's almost like this weird, there's like a mystery there. Like, what's going to happen next? And
I'm glad you mentioned that gong, because that is the key to mystery to me. Right. Because to me, that gong is just this little subtle thing, like, here we go into the Far East, you know, because Coltrane was like spiritually searching for all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
He was digging into all types of religions and just, seeking something bigger, something bigger than himself.
Right. There is that history of like a gong being like the opening of the mantra, like the Om note, all those things, like in like Eastern religions, those are like, those are, religious practices, and like we're going to start this with this note because that opens you up, you are the music, it opens you up, your body's the instrument, all that. They go into this in heady detail in that book, but like how like so much of that is like intrinsic to like understanding like where his head was in all this, and like you can take it all the way there and that's all it means, or not. Maybe it means 8 million other things, whatever. But yeah, that gong is just like, and now the doors to the church are open and you should come in and take a seat because this is going to be a ride.
And it may be worth noting, and people could probably, fill in the puzzle pieces, but like, why was Coltrane on this quest? And it's because he'd kind of gone through some dark shit. Like a lot of musicians, he got sucked into the world of heroin.
Yes.
And it kind of cost him some gigs. Like he was playing with Miles Davis, and it was kind of affecting his playing. He was showing up late. It was just affecting his professionalism. And so he was trying to escape from that.
Sorry, there's the gong in the studio.
Oh, there it is. There's your gong.
On the
That's
day.
Sweet.
I guess technically we'll get to this later, but I guess technically this is the day after, which is also a very important day. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Mystery.
So Hendrix, or I'm on the wrong show. Hendrix.
Him too.
Coltrane, the other guy.
Yeah.
Coltrane, the other guy, is on this spiritual quest to get to move away from his drug addiction, and to just try to improve himself and to become a better person, a better musician, better everything. Right? And am I projecting anything, or is this the history?
No, I mean there's like there's all those stories of those guys, back in the day, who were like. So yeah, there are all these stories, apocryphal or not, about these guys back in the day. Heroin usage was a thing in the jazz world of the 60s, 50s, 60s. We can go, it's a whole other show about why and where that came from, and why it did, whatever. It happened a lot. And there's all these stories of these guys like, I got to get clean. And what do? They just like went to like grandma's house and like locked themselves in a room and went through withdrawals. Basically like, somebody would leave some food by the door and be like, all right, here you go. Good luck. which is scary on multiple fronts because, I mean, addiction is a thing no matter what. And like
Right.
addiction to certain things is more dangerous for your body than others. And that is one of the worst, as I am told, that one of the worst withdrawals that you can ever go through is a physical addiction on the level of an opioid. And so,
Right.
yeah, the story is he, got clean. I think for a long time it was kind of like he got clean and then he, came down off the mountain and like instantly wrote this. And it was like, that's not actually how it happened. He was clean for a while before this. He did, according to Alice, like when he was working on the music that became this, like lock himself like up away in an attic, and they would like see him for like 20 minutes a day, basically. And then like one day he just came down like to the kitchen table and like fires up his pipe and is like, all right, it's done. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? He was like sitting there with his, eating his Cheerios, like, all right, I did it. And everybody's like, okay. Like they didn't know what he had done. I'm sure they could hear him up there just like, wow, figuring it out. But like,
so when he was cleaning up and when he was detoxing, was he had the sax? Did he have the music?
Yeah, when he did, yeah. But I think, a lot of guys would go and like, not, it was always like a question, like, are they going to be able to play after they come out? Like after they come out of the fog and haze of addiction, like, will it have taken such a toll on their body that, all this stuff, like it was a bad scene. He was okay. I think the closest he got to that was he also had apparently a terrible sweet tooth. Like,
I've heard that too.
He would have horrible cavities, so much so that it hurt his mouth when he played. And when he was playing with Miles, he would like finally was on the road, like, I gotta go get these teeth pulled, like it's killing me. And Miles was like, don't get them pulled because it'll change how you play.
Yeah.
It's gonna affect everything. And he was like, I don't care, this is too much. And like, so he was like having, I think that was his other thing, was like, I think he was probably just an obsessive personality, quite honestly. And it's like addiction to whatever was just going to be part and parcel of the Coltrane experience. And there was definitely the sweets, and there was definitely the heroin. But I think at a point it was kind of, I remember the story is kind of conflating, like he got clean, and when he came out of the room, he like had all of the music for A Love Supreme, like Moses coming down from the mountain. It was like, maybe that's a little much.
We love our legends though. Robert Johnson, all that shit. I mean, we love our legends. There's
so many.
Ozzy biting the head off the thing.
Right. There's so many about this record because there's such a mystery, like that whole thing about the Psalm and him like doing it on the sax, like that was not a known thing for a long time. Like somebody, like they talk about that in the book too. It's like somebody deciphered like later, like, wait a second, he's playing the poem is what Psalm is, like that's the Psalm, like duh. And it was like, this secret, like, hey, he's playing all the things. Oh my God. For a long time.
I don't think I had never connected it until this time. Like I had read that it was possible, but it was like, shit, this is like Wizard of Oz, Dark Side of the Moon. I got to sync these up. And it does line up. And it was, listening to it day after day.
It's mind numbing.
Like, it is.
Yeah.
Now interesting. But yeah, the exciting thing about A Love Supreme to me is the fact that there's such a limited amount of material. That makes it easier to study, because there are a couple of deluxe editions out there. You've got one of them. So, there was one day of takes on December 9th. And then, we ended up with the 33-minute album. Yeah. But, there was possibly up to 5 or 6 takes of each little piece.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's other iterations, but interestingly, there is also a second day of sessions on December 10th.
Yes.
he comes back and he's got two other guys. He's got Archie Shepp
Yep.
on another horn and another bass player, Art Davis.
Art Davis. Yep.
So they recut, the two big chunks of the piece with those guys, and it's very different, is it not?
It is very weird. Yeah, Acknowledgement. I think there's two takes on. Yeah, there's two alternate takes on this one. This is just the deluxe guy. Two alternate takes of Acknowledgement that have both of them on it. There's been since one that came out that was like the complete masters, which is, I mean, that one's so exhaustive. Like I don't even own it because it's just like, it's so much. Like it's like literally just them. Yeah. It's even them talking back and forth in the studio.
Oh wow, that stuff.
Which is great, but it's like I probably don't need to own them going like, yeah, start at the top. Like
right.
Whether that gives me any insight into the inner workings of the musical minds at play here. Yeah. But yeah, he was soon. I mean, I guess it's a good time to like kind of rope it into the bigger picture. Is soon he's about to augment everything he does, regardless. So this is the end of '64. Right. In '65, he's gonna record Ascension, which is nothing short of like a free jazz orchestra, basically like reading like 20th century modern classical music almost. Like it's a lot. If you've not listened to it, it's a lot. But it's like, there's like 2 or 3 of everything, I think, on that record.
Right.
He's also going to do like Meditations a little bit later, which is kind of like a brother-sister album to A Love Supreme in a lot of ways. But it also features 2 drummers. It has a couple horns. It may have a couple bass players on that one even. But yeah. It also, all of this also causes a rift and a split in the classic quartet. It's a thing. Right. I think he just wanted to see, I think he had in his mind, like, what would it be like at this point? He was like, what would it be like if I did augment this band that I have with these other guys? Archie Shepp being a pretty young cat on the scene at this point. Art Davis had been around for a while. I think he had played on some older Coltrane records. So they knew each other for sure. And Archie Shepp, they knew of each other. He had helped him get a record deal at Impulse. And I think Archie Shepp's first record is actually him recording Coltrane songs in like new ways. But yeah, I mean, Coltrane had done this kind of thing before. Africa Brass was like a big like horn sectioned thing. I think it was just another one of those chasing whatever it was in his head that was like, what else can we get out of this? Can we get something else out of this? And I think it's interesting to know that there was another session. I think it's interesting in the book when they talk to everybody, like the only people that remember that session are like Archie Shepp and Art Davis. Everybody else is like, I don't even remember like we went back in. It's like basically they're talking to like Elvin Jones. He's like, what are you talking about? And they're like showing him pictures, like this is literally you reading a magazine at your drum set on December 10th, 1964. And he's like, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Like, which is crazy because it's like, as mind-numbing as this record is and as like magical as it is for me as a piece of music, it's almost, it's like alternately awesome and disheartening to hear about it just as like another day in the studio for them. Like, he showed us the parts, we played it, and we went home. Like, what? It was like we didn't have like a seance, and there wasn't like a Ouija board in the room, and like the Bible didn't open itself up and start like spewing out, It wasn't like the Ark of the Covenant was there, and our faces all melted when we looked in it. It was like it was just us in the studio playing music. Right. That's what we did. And it's weird to think about, like, so much heft is put on this thing. But for those guys, it was like just another, like, oh, it's Wednesday. I guess I'm going to the studio.
Yeah.
And then sweat it up for an hour, and then let's go home. Like, mean, 5 takes. I think they were there. I think it says something like it was like maybe an 8-hour day, 10-hour day. Like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Wow. So, but that's a little different because my whole life, I had misinterpreted that through compose thing as meaning, oh, they recorded it all in one take.
Right. That
So
was
I
another
thought,
legend
oh,
about it. Right.
this thing was done in an hour.
Right.
But I mean, the workman like or not, they definitely bottled up something great.
Right.
The second day sessions, those are on that deluxe set, which also contains one of the two live things. There's a live thing in France.
Yep.
And that's good to get into because it shows you the extended. It's like the extended mix.
Yes. It's where
it is
right.
It is literally double the length.
Yeah.
It is like an hour version of this thing. Almost every piece has its length doubled. 7 minute turns into 10 minutes. The 10-minute piece turns into a 20-minute piece. I mean,
Right.
it's a bigger version all across the board.
And interestingly enough, it's from a festival performance in France, and they were booked to play before this was recorded, and this was not out, as I recall. It was not released in France when they went there, and so people were expecting My Favorite Things and they were expecting the hits, and to his credit, he shows up and drops a double length, A Love Supreme right in their laps. And people are booing. Like, they're not happy. They're not like, again, it's like the thing. Like,
we don't like new stuff.
Right. We're talking about this as though it was like this reverent piece of,
I know.
And they're just like, like, this is the worst thing I've ever heard. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are they?
Give me the thing I know.
Yeah, it's like, why would you do this to us? Like, we've been your fans for so long, and and then like, why? But I also wonder, like, for anybody, like, if you put yourself in those shoes, it's like you have been waiting for however long to see this guy, and he shows up and he plays what seems like an hour's worth of just straight improv. Like, because you've never heard it. There's no reference point for like any of that. And they also apparently hadn't really practiced it. Like, again, here we go. They go in the studio, they record this, and they kind of just left it in the room. Like, it was like, okay, we're good, it
wasn't a part of like the rotation.
No, like there are recordings where this is where I get really nerdy. There are recordings where like there are portions of melodies that show up in acknowledgement, or resolution shows up in different things. He was working that stuff out prior, for sure. Again, anybody who says that like he like put on a tinfoil hat and like it got zapped in via lightning from Valhalla is just like, no, he was working this stuff hard. And I don't know which is more, legendarily awesome, that he like worked on it forever and got it right, or if he got struck by lightning and fire coming out of his saxophone.
I think the getting sober just gave him the focus to put it all together. I think he probably, like you said, these little bits and pieces are probably floating around. All artists are like that. They just like have a huge pile of music, and it's always kind of percolating. And sometimes little bits are just, it takes a while to get them done.
Like, I can't connect to anything. And then you finally like, oh, but I can connect it to this. Like, on my 5th cup of coffee, I learned that I could do this. But yeah, so it's just crazy to think that like you just sat there and like absorbed an hour's worth of that music unknowingly, and we're just like, I hate this. I hate everything about it. I hate you for having done it.
Like, that's often the case, because I mean, I see artists doing that these days, and it's always kind of like met with like, like, man, they just came out and played this new thing that hasn't even come out yet. I don't know it.
It's like, but that's what they do. Like, it's kind of weird now, of course, again, like, but with such reverence, we can talk about him and this, and it's just like, he was just a guy, with a saxophone at the end of the day, a very accomplished player of that, but it was still just an artist trying to do what he thought was the right thing by the art.
Right.
You know, wherever that muse took him, he was going to go. And sometimes it was, I mean, some of those records, those later records it's hard. It's real hard. As much as I love him, I love all the things. Like when you listen to like Ohm, it's just like,
oh yeah, that one.
Like
it gets paired up with Kulu Say Mama.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it right,
Yeah.
but yeah, it is. That's the one where you're talking about where it's like orchestral, where everything's doubled up.
Yeah,
and it comes across kind of just like.
It's like he's like there's more like spoken stuff on it, and it's like there's something about like peanut butter and like it gets weird. It gets really weird.
It gets weird.
And like there was all for years has been like, you know, he always denied it, his family always denied, but it was always rumored that he had done LSD like for one of the first times, and like was just like, let's go in the studio and do this, and everybody was like,
it was the 60s.
Great. But you know, it is amazing. It's just an amazing thing to hear that live version from Juan Lepine or whatever, and just be like, they hate this. They absolutely hate this. And the band was not, I mean, because I guess to get back to on tangentless, they had not practiced this. They don't just like fire into it like masters.
Yeah, it's a little clunky at first, isn't it?
It's like where are they going?
Yeah,
like
it's clunky.
The gears are not happening, but that's kind of like if you're into that kind of thing, it's like it's amazing to hear because you can hear them as they go. It's just like the wheel gets a little bit greasier,
right,
and then finally they're like click, and then it's fire. You're just out of control,
right?
Oh my god! Like now we're talking. Yeah. But yeah, for the first like 5 minutes, you're like, I don't know if this is gonna work, guys. I love you, but you might want to abandon ship at this point. Like, just play Giant Steps. That might be it might be easier to play Giant Steps at like breakneck speed than this. I'm not sure.
Okay. So when did Love Supreme actually come out? Because that live performance was in July of 1965.
Yeah, as early. I think it's January 65. So it was a quick turn.
And then the only other recording of A Love Supreme is the one that just came out, like live in Seattle.
Yeah.
So it's a second version of it, and it's from October 2nd, 1965.
Right. And I think
that was recorded by Joe Brazil.
Yes, he's just
says he's a saxophone player. I don't know if he's a saxophone player in the concert or if he's just like a fan.
I think he was just recording. Yeah, I think a lot of people did that. Apparently, back in the day, they would like if they knew Coltrane was coming, they would like, oh, let me set up a recorder somewhere because he didn't care. Yeah. But they also just wanted to like figure out what the next thing was or like where he was. Like you never knew. Like when he showed up, is he going to be Are we getting My Favorite Things and I don't know, whatever other, maybe Afro Blue tonight, or are we getting or are we getting like something we've never heard and it's like I need to record this for posterity, that kind of thing, or like for me to go home and practice like a beast to try and figure out what he's doing. But yeah, I think he was like just a saxophonist maybe in one of the bands playing that night, and so he was just like, there's even like you can old school like tape swap in the recording.
Oh wow!
Like like cuts out for a second, puts like a reel to reel deal. So it's kind of awesome.
Yeah, there is an awful lot of audience tapes of Coltrane, and I think you just helped me understand why.
Yeah, I think
that because I'm circling back to our first show, the Minutemen.
Right.
Watt from Pedro show, Mike Watt, he always starts his show with a Coltrane bootleg. Yeah. And I'm like, God damn, he's been doing this show for 20, 30 years and he never runs out of Coltrane bootlegs.
Right.
So there just has to be a huge amount of that audience taping, which was that for all jazz artists or was it just Coltrane specific? Or
I don't know. I think there's probably a larger than normal appetite for the Coltrane-ness because you really didn't know, a la Forrest Gump. You didn't know what you were going to get when he showed up. Like it was going to be, it's just, you didn't know. Like, is he going to show up with 4 guys playing tambourines and that's it tonight? Like, you don't know. Like, are there 16 cowbells? Is there a cowbell orchestra tonight? Nobody knows. Like, is he going to be like handling snakes during the performance? Not sure. Like, did he bring Sun Ra and the orchestra along for the ride? Possibly.
I hope so.
Like,
I fucking hope so.
Is space actually the place? We'll find out tonight. Like I think you just didn't know. And I think there was like this like earnest, like, I want to know, I want to record it for posterity, and I also want to have the ability to like take it home and like try and figure out what is going on, because it doesn't musically make sense to my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, if you take a recorder now to like a Nels Klein show and like try and like, or like figure out the solo in Impossible Germany he's going to play tonight at the Wilco show. Like, what is going on? Like, what's he doing there tonight? I don't know how. Just
right. Oh yeah, it's just that the magic of the improv. Yeah. Like, is it going to be gold, or is it going to be not?
Yeah, because every time was not. I mean, yes, I think by and large the stuff that's gotten released is the gold. I mean, quite honestly, like there's some amazing bootlegs of Coltrane. I mean, not too many of A Love Supreme, unfortunately. I'm sure someday somebody will compile like every piece of everything that ever got played in any show. Like, here's that night that they started playing Psalm and then it fell apart, or something,
right?
That kind of thing. But like, I think they were, I think at the top of their game, the classic quartet was so good that you wanted to have it, because like who wouldn't want to go see that band do what? I mean, there's all those legends. It's like he was soloing, and then it was somebody else's time to solo. He just walked off the stage still soloing, went into the bathroom and kept soloing, and then literally came back out still playing, and then walked back up on the stage and kept going. Like, he just couldn't stop, and like,
yes.
I mean, did it happen like that? Maybe. Like, I would assume that the man that was in the bathroom stall next to him was like telling the truth. Like, yeah, that guy was still playing his saxophone. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's also like apocryphal to the extreme, like,
yeah,
there's all those stories about legendary talents like that. I mean, but I feel like his like early release from this world, passing on as soon even after this as he did, I think added to like some of that too. It's like to realize, he's only alive another 2 years after this gets released.
Right. Oh yeah. Like, burning fast.
Yeah. And I think, that's another layer that's of the onion that's on there too, is like people for years, I think, were like, he knew that, he was not healthy or whatever. And I'm like, did he? I don't know. There's no, like, nobody in any interview I've ever read who had anything to do with him at this point in his life was like, oh, John was not feeling good. Like, all that happened later. Like, he was, I think he died of like stomach cancer, and I think it came on quick.
Yeah.
I think it was like one of those, like, when we found it, it was bad, and there was nothing much you could do, And I don't think in 1964, at least to his knowledge, he was like feeling bad, because he kept up a pace that was just ridiculous. I mean, he put out 65 as like this drops, and then I think it's like Meditations, Ascension. There's like 2 or 3 more. I mean, he just bam. It's like every like 3 months is like another record, and that's not even. And then after he dies, they kept releasing stuff because he had amassed so much recorded material, most of which I'm sure he would have been appalled that anybody ever heard. But I mean, I'm sure he was like, it's kind of like we talked about again with the Jimi Hendrix estate. It's like, at a point, it's like, are you putting out stuff that they would have actually wanted anyone to know about? Like,
yeah, we gotta wonder.
I mean, it's still not bad.
Yeah, I mean, as long as we're buying it, I'm sure they're gonna keep putting it out.
Right. So here's something I wanted to know. When was your first exposure to A Love Supreme?
It was actually not a great exposure. We had this festival in my hometown called Gold Rush, Dahlonega, Georgia,
Oh,
and there was just like greased pig contests
yep.
and banjos and just it was that kind of thing. But the big draw for me as a eighth grader, ninth grader was they had a whole bunch of bootleg cassettes.
Oh,
Like
wow.
there was a whole bunch of like scammy people that like basically just like homemade a bunch of cassettes
Yep.
and sold them for like couple of bucks.
Nice.
So I picked up a Love Supreme, a dubbed version of a Love Supreme, or what I thought was a Love Supreme,
Right.
but it was just a like 10th generation version of the France show.
Yes. Because that floated around
yeah.
forever in terrible quality. Terrible.
Right. So that's what I for the first couple of years I was thinking this is the epic Love Supreme. Okay. But then, in college I came across this one.
Yeah.
And got a little bit deeper into it,
Yeah.
and just, but really didn't understand Coltrane until like much later, like around 2000, 2002. Finally, like got musician brain big enough to like play some of that stuff. Me and Matt used to do Afro Blue and Mr. PC.
Cool. Afro Blue, man. That is a burner.
Oh yeah, that's fun, and man, that helped me like get my internal clock to not be in 4/4. Right. Because I'm such a rock punk dude. Everything's 4/4 with me.
Right.
But so yeah, Afro Blue was a great chance to change that internal clock.
For anybody not aware, that's on live at Birdland, which is I mean, I don't know if Love Supreme is like number one awesome in the entire universe. That might be number 2 or 1A.
Yep.
Like I can listen to that any day of the week and just stop. It stops me in my tracks. It's so good. Such a I mean, it's such a fiery everything. I think for me, I found it. I think I found Elvin Jones via Drum Magazine World because I was a drummer guy. But I remember it being talked about by Matt Cameron, who is the drummer in Pearl Jam now, but was Soundgarden then. The record, Super Unknown had just come out, and Modern Drummer Magazine, now I'm piecing this all together. Modern Drummer Magazine had a thing with him that they rarely did in those days, but like they literally went track by track, like, and he talked. I mean, he talked shop about every part of it, and it was amazing. It was like such an eye-opening thing. Like, you can do that in the studio, like, whoa, like, and he talked about. There was a couple things on there that he talked about, like, I was really listening to a lot of Elvin Jones, who's a huge influence of mine. And he was like, basically, not because I can play like that, because I can't, I never will be able to, but like just the spirit of the thing. And like, I was like, oh, that's kind of how I felt about Joey Barron at the time. Like, I was like, I'll never be able to do that. But the spirit of that guy's playing is so awesome. Like, it was just like so free, and like he was just having so much fun that I was like, I got to check this out. And so I remember I just moved like maybe 6 months earlier to Nashville to go to school. And there on West End, there was a Tower Records. Loved it. Spent way too much time and money there. The Tower Records, and there was like a Blockbuster Music next to it. And so like me and my roommate would like do like a circuit of where we would like spend like hours in one and then literally like walk down the street and spend hours in the other, just like looking at stuff, listening stations, the whole thing. I remember I got picked up 2 records, two CDs, and I still have my copies of both of them. One was this guy, and the other was Chavez Ride the Fader. Could not be more different if they tried. But it was like the best listening station day ever. And there, I think you had to like sit down and they undid the whole thing for you. You put it in a player, you put it on. And I listened to Chavez first and was like, oh, like face melted. I was like, well, I'm buying that right now. I put that thing in, and it was like the same thing. That gong happened, and I was just like, what? What's happening? Where is everyone? And then like the drums come in, and when they came in, like I was like, oh, I totally understand. Yeah. I understand why I must hear this. bought them
Yeah.
both, and never looked back. And I think I spent the next year next door in Tower Records. They had like a jazz section that was like glassed off from the rest of the store. So it was like silent when you walked in there. It was like a library. It was hilarious. But they had all of these Impulse CD, like Digipack reissues were all there. So like every week and a half, I just go pluck another one out.
Yeah.
You know, and just keep going down the hole. And it was like, yeah, it was this one. And then I really, really got into Live at Birdland. And then, yeah, it just spun out of control after that. But like, I mean, when you hear it, you're like, of course, like I always describe everybody. I'm like, when I heard Elvin Jones play on A Love Supreme, it sounded like he was telling me a story with the drums. And I don't say that in any sort of hyperbolic way. I mean it literally. Like you could solo out the drum tracks and I would just be as enthused as if you soloed out the piano parts. Like every part is so integral to the whole that it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, just give me Coltrane. Yep. Still amazing. Yeah. Give me Jimmy Garrison. Yep. Still amazing. Give me McCoy Tyner. Yeah. Absolutely. Elvin. Sure. Like, yep. But yeah, I think it was just, it's one of those memories. It's like core memory. Like,
just pointing out that, normally we talk about essential tracks, but you gotta do it all.
What are you gonna skip one? Come on, you jerk! Don't skip one.
No, really, you can't skip one, because like there's a bass solo that introduces one section, that would be a disservice to me, and there's a drum solo that opens another section, that would be a disservice to you. So don't disappoint us, America, and the world at large.
I think also
just listen to all four pieces.
I think also it's one of those interesting things. Like I don't think we've ever really discussed this much, but like the idea of the format changing how you listen to a piece of music. Like, so CD version, put it in, let it ride. The whole thing just plays. And I think it was kind of jarring when I got the vinyl copy, because you have to flip it. And it's like, like you have those, it seems silly to say, but you have those moments of like suspension where you're like, no, I was in the zone with you guys. Like, I don't want to get out of the zone. Like, I'm still here with you. Like, keep going. And then you have to like mad dash to like turn it over and stay in the zone, It's kind of weird. It's like, I never know which one I'd rather listen to, because, you can fight all day about which one sounds better, whatever. But it's like just the way it's so glaringly like a format driven thing. Like, oh, right, that's a different, it feels different when it just runs and you never touch it. And then it feels a little different when you have that moment of like, when you flip it over, and then you're like, because I think you start right in with a drum solo when you flip the second side. Right. Like, oh,
yep. We're back. Digging into pursuance.
Elvin is not letting us forget that we are back. To say I love it would be the largest understatement.
Right. Yeah, and like I kind of had the philosophy forever that, I don't need to upgrade this. Right. This is fine. This is fine.
A great version.
But when I'm digging into the internets, they mentioned that this actually came from like a second generation master. Yes. We started the show talking about master quality. So now I do want the vinyl. I want to get I want to get one of them newer versions. Anything from 2000 forward.
Yeah, I think this one. It is the thing about Acoustic Sounds is we've never gotten anything from them.
I've got.
Yeah, I do not work for them, but I will say it. They ship it in like a UFO. It comes to you literally in a flying saucer. That packaging is crazy. They have like their own proprietary box for their records. The pressing quality, like they have their own pressing plant. They bought RTI, and so like that it's flat as flat can be. It's quiet. I've never had a problem of like getting something from them, especially something they've pressed, and be like, I wish this was like not dirty, or it's got a bunch of, you know, fill in it or whatever. It's really good. And I think they corrected a lot of things that were on, again, multi-generational masters that were made later had like all manner of, I think they go into this in the book too. Like they had all kind of noise issues. I think that one point there was like a microtonal noise in the background that was like leftover from like an air conditioner or something that was like,
oh geez,
just happened to be recorded in the room, just like got onto the tape. And so for like, there were years where that was like, everybody heard this when you put it on, you hear this, and like, what is that? And that was not on this one. So that's not there. It's like, yeah, you can definitely hear horror stories, much like yours, about, oh, I bought this like 70s copy of Love Supreme and it was on, you know, ABC, or after they bought Impulse or whatever. And it sounds like somebody recorded it in a paper bag filled with like mushroom stems. Like, it's just like, what is happening? Like, why does this sound so bad? And I think that did a disservice. I think a lot of people were just like, you know, of course it drove the prices of originals like crazy high. If you do find them, they look like, you know, a dog ate them and then gave them to an octopus to also eat later in a lunchbox. But yeah, I think as far as like just a great like produced thing as a copy, this guy is really good. They made sure the art is done really well. It's like all glossy, and I mean, come on. If for no other reason, that picture in and of itself is like, are you kidding me? How cool is that? It just looks cool. Like you want to know what's happening when you see him. He looks like the most serious man on earth. I think he was like really like a rabid practical joker in his real life. Like I think he was just like a silly dude. But like when you see this, you're like, that motherfucker means business.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's gonna cut you. Like you play the right part, he's gonna cut you. Like he might be cutting someone in this moment. Like you're not sure. Like he's actually just shanking somebody. Yeah.
Shanking.
He's playing Skank and Pickle right there. Skank and Pickle.
Skank and Pickle. What is that? What is a Skank and Pickle?
It was a not great ska band.
Thank goodness. Yeah. I thought we were talking about middle school girlfriends.
I mean, 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. But yeah, I think, you know, it's a great copy. It's not crazy expensive. I think it's like 30 something bucks ish. If you go to Acoustic Sounds, they have, like I said, I think there's Impressions. They did a version of that, a reissue of Impressions. They did a reissue of Crescent, which is the record immediately before this.
Right.
They did Live at the Village Vanguard.
Great
first one.
17 minutes.
Not the later one, which is like out there. Like Live at the Village.
So Vanguard. There's two different versions of the Vanguard?
There's an early like classic quartet Live at the Village Vanguard deal.
Okay.
I say classic quartet. There's also a box set that's like all the Village Vanguardness of the first release. That's like, I think Roy Haynes sits in on drums sometimes. So there's like a slightly different lineup. It's still super good. Yes,
the version I know has like 17-minute Chasing the Train.
Yeah,
is that
famously
the standard
took
version?
up one whole side of a record and everybody lost their mind.
That's stomping.
But yeah, there's a later one when like Alice Coltrane is in the band and Rashid Ali is the drummer. Just like it's like they play my favorite things, but you would not really know it's my favorite things.
Right.
That
Oh yeah,
kind of
this
thing.
out period,
Just like,
the way out period.
oh, he's doing things, you know. And it's great on its own, but it's a totally different, you know, it is a totally different thing. But yeah, they did the first one, and ballads. I think they did ballads. They did a reissue of that too. But yeah, all good, not crazy pricey. Unless you get the like I said, there's like one that they did that's like $100+ because it's like ultra clear, high def, everything. I think you can hear Coltrane's blood moving through his veins if you listen close enough.
Is that like the gold UHQR disc?
Yeah. What? Like it's really good. Sorry. Now we're back. Okay. So, A Love Supreme.
Well, final thoughts on A Love Supreme.
It's great.
I believe somebody. It's gotten, you know, how's it faring on Rotten Tomatoes? Oh, it's not that kind of thing. How's
probably 22%?
How's the Yelp review?
22%.
What?
Yeah, I think it's one of those records that, like, you know, I think musicians as a group of weirdos, you know, kind of keep it in this like revered space. I think when you hear like jazzers talk about like those records, I think it's one of those. I don't think there's. I think it's one of the few jazz records I feel like you hear just as many like rock and roller punk rockers talk about in like the same revered way. Like people like, yeah, that's a biggie. I think it bridged a gap that, again, like we said earlier, is like almost impossible to bridge in a lot of ways. Like to have the emotional and the academic and the like stylistic like not matter at all. It's just in one big soup, and like everybody's getting a spoonful.